Thank
Oh my
God.
god, I've
Thank
never
God.
seen
None
such
of
an.
that was on record. You can't fucking punish me for what I said.
Oh my god, if we would have fucking had that live, I swear we would have had like APAC would never sponsor me again.
They wouldn't even look our direction. Oh, actually, no, they would. It'd just be the wrong reason. So, how was your week?
Oh my god, it has been a interesting week. Been kind of busier than what I need to be. Um, Still kind of shocked that of all the things that I've been having going on in my life, and by the way, thank you, Hungar, for this wonderful shirt. Um, he didn't give it to me. I bought it, but he has some funny fucking shirts. James, his brother, has some funny shirts too, but a lot of his shirts would be better if I had a significant other that gave a fuck about me because, like, he's got a lot of shirts with these big bearded Viking or Norse like warriors with these hot braided blonde haired women in big fur coats and shit. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great if, like, I had a wife, riding behind me on my Harley, the V twin providing a nice vibrator like substance for the two of us to enjoy as we do 67 down the road. But I'm single, so let me have Hungar feeding spit dinosaur to his little ladies over the fire. And Hungar, James Goodman both. But, like, I have been, for the past 5 years, a fatter fuck than I want to be. And it all started when I got the COVID. And oddly enough, just about 2 months ago, I started buying these little salads from the store. I'll try to have like one every day or so, and that'll be like a supplement. Maybe I'll just have that if I don't have anything else, but that's rare that I just have the salad because what type of man that does like 4,000 calories and burning a day eats just a fucking salad when he gets home? He might have had Whataburger when he's out on the road between stops, but you're not just going to have a fucking salad. You might have like a salad and maybe 15 fucking chicken tendies or something. Just let's be honest. Let's be honest. And that's kind of how it is. Or, maybe I stopped by Costco or Sam's and I grabbed a fucking rotisserie chicken and half of that fucker's in my stomach, the other half's wrapped up in the fridge. But I've been a fat fuck for 5 years.
Yeah.
I started eating these salads about 2 months ago, and all of a sudden, like 2 months ago, 6 weeks ago, I started hearing of like people having these salads and they're having explosive diarrhea. And I'm like, how can you tell? We're eating salads. Salads are a roughage. They're a propellant. Excuse me. That helps void your body or vacate your body of things. Well, no, no, no. These salads are special. They're salads that come out of Taco Bell. Taco Bell has salads. When was this? I
I
lived
don't
by
know.
a Taco Bell. I would have a Taco Bell salad. And so I went to Taco Bell and they're like, we really don't have salad. I'm like, yeah, any salads in the back there? And one of the girls was like, I don't know, she must have felt sorry for me. She's like, I'll sell these to you, but don't tell about them. I'm like, okay, no problem. So like for like 6 to 4 weeks ago, I started eating Taco Bell salads too. Started having the Crunchwrap Supremes. Find out that like supposedly it's the iceberg lettuce. Who knows? And I'm just having a ball with it. And my guts. Oh yeah. By the way, I'm also on about 15 to 20 different supplements. Some of it's black bitters, black seed oil, fucking oil of oregano, things that
Yep.
kill gut enzymes. And like I shat out a Man War like 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. Not a sight you want to see. Like you're staring between your thighs, trying to look around your dick and balls, and there's like a carapace hanging down there, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And when I pulled it, like it was like smeared with black shit, and I'm like, part of me wants to save this and send it off to like Rob Bottin. Like, can you make this for the Thing sequel? And the other part of me is like, get documentation of it, and the other part of me is like, just flush it, just kick it, get rid of it. kick it like a fucking abortion in a China buffet. Just put it under the rug, God damn it. And I had some competing thoughts. Eventually, I just flushed it, and I thought, well, it's just the oil of oregano that just killed the parasite living inside me. It was about a good maybe 10 inches, like just like carapace and other guts and such, and like other stuff. And at first, I thought like the oil of oregano wasn't really telling me the truth, like they have the ads. I don't know if you remember toy ads from 1970s. Toy ads in 1970s were kind of facetious, if anything, because they'd show you the big track and you program it. It goes around, it pivots, and it has a little flashlight that lights up a little bit. And then it goes around again, and you have to go program it again and have it go off. And when you bought the big track, like you spent like 7 or 10 minutes reading the manual, not understanding what the fuck it said. And then finally, like a friend of yours would tell you how it worked. And so, like every time you wanted the big track to go somewhere, you had to spend like 3 to 5 minutes to program it in to have it do stuff. Toys in 70s sucked, by the way. So,
yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, all of this stuff, like, I thought the ads were facetious. Hey, Doug and Beth, how you doing, sir? But I was having trouble.
That'd be good.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I didn't know what the fuck to expect. I really didn't know what the fuck to expect. And I'm like, well, maybe they're being honest about the food and the stuff that I'm eating. I didn't know. And so, like, I'm continuing to drop weight. I'm down at 230, 235, because I just had, like, another 15 chicken tendies. I hadn't really eaten all day. Well, I had a cinnamon roll, but, like, I had a cinnamon roll and a pot of coffee. So those cancel each other out. Because if you have a pot of coffee, whatever you had is gone. It's over.
Yeah.
It's out of your body. I'm like, I need chicken tendies. You know how you are when like you're by yourself, like the wife or girlfriend's not home or nobody's watching me. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna grab like an entire bucket of KFC and eat half of it. And tomorrow I'll have the other. You know, it's the same fucking thing when you got a bag of chicken tendies in the fucking fridge. You know, you got them in the freezer. Like you're like, oh, put these in the goddamn air. And hold on, let me get some spices on here and put some barbecue sauce and this till off to the side. And I just gotten home, had a little bit of an emergency call, so took care of that. Got home, was hungry. I had caloric activity today. I burned more than I ate, I felt, until I had my food. So now I'm going to probably go grab some coffee beans and put them between my lip and gum, just like as if I was dipping or something. But I don't want to fall asleep on stream again. How are you guys tonight? Yo, by the way, everybody in the chat, you all missed it, but I can't repeat it because we're going to lose our sponsorship from APAC. Thank you so much, APAC, for being here. And congratulations, Paramount and WB, you fucking losers.
For doing the thing that should never have been done, but it took a year to whine about it to happen. It's great.
Yeah.
Just upsets me. Like, you have the same fucking reaction that I did. I couldn't believe they fucking united. Of all things, like, really? Aren't we supposed to be against a goddamn antitrust or a monopoly? What the fuck is the purpose of all these goddamn rules? If I've got to abide by them, you got to abide by them. What the fuck?
That's the thing. I don't think, like, honestly, we're going to have to wait until we can either exterminate all the boomers, finally, or they all die, to finally break up all the not quite monopolies. Honestly, I think the world would be a lot better if we just murder all the lawyers and start over.
The 90s into 2000 event, Justice League had a solution for that with the alien court system, the galactic alien court system. Don't you have lawyers for this place? We do. And how? No, we took care of that problem a long time ago. How? Lawyers share the same punishment as their clients. That's how we took care of our lawyer problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't live under that kind of a system. We live under a very Byzantine system, which lives for the bureaucracy, serves the bureaucracy, and that's exactly what it is. All the lawyers serve the lawyers and the government, and it's just what it is. We don't fucking have a say because, well, you can't practice law unless you've been through the legal system. Well, once you're through the legal system, you're now part of the machine. it kind of sucks. So honestly, yeah, it kind of needs to fall apart now. It's kind of that meme of the system's broken. We need to fix it. No, the system is working as intended. It needs to be destroyed.
Yep.
But yeah, no. But since none of us are going to be, starting the second revolution, so yeah, there's no need to worry about it right now until somebody else gets it rolling. But so all we can do is role play and play games where we start revolutions and overthrow governments, because being a bootlicker is not fun.
Well, I've noticed that not only have I gotten an increase in suggestions of it, but there has been directly an increase of both making and playing of YouTubers of survival or post-apocalyptic games where the government doesn't matter.
Well, that's because of the fact that that's the current fear in the in everything. Is the simple fact that, if you have the idea of a vision, of a dream, of a vision of a better future, you see the media and games pointing towards the idea of a better future, which is why you kind of had the 70s giving us, hey, look at that, grand space epics. And yeah, we kind of had the world's kind of decaying, so you had that worn in, dirty look and the feel. So you had games like Traveler, where, hey, space is now so tamed that anybody can go up there and drive a space RV and go live your midlife crisis. You worked your ass off. Now you can just go fuck off for the next 100 years, floating around in the middle of a decaying, dying, uncaring, malfunctioning galaxy. Which, honestly, if you play Traveler, you find out that that's pretty much the description of the Third Imperium. Is congratulations, yeah. It's a dying, collapsing empire that you're just kind of surviving in, which fits the 70s and the 80s, but Traveler kind of fell off in the 90s, and it's coming back because, once again, what's a bunch of old people who've got money floating around space doing whatever the fuck they feel like? Yeah, that's Traveler. But of course, you're going to see a lot of games where, well, what's the current thing? Society's going to fall apart, so you're going to make games and literature that kind of focuses towards the idea of a collapsing society. So, because that's the current zeitgeist we had in the 90s and the early 2000s, we had fear of the outsider, and the zombie epidemic, which the idea of the horde, and it slowly evolved, was that entire era, which was fun. But that fear is no longer really the big fear. But we had fears of biological problems, economic collapse. We have cyberpunk coming back into the vogue because, well, what's the fear of an uncaring an evil corporation run by completely disconnected assholes who monitor everything, control everything, yet don't give a shit about everyone, so everyone kind of steals and does whatever the fuck they want. Hey, that's cyberpunk. That's Altered Carbon. That's a bit of The Expanse, which The Expanse is just Traveler. You have Ghost in the Shell bringing back the original 80s take on it with the new series has been released. Unfortunately, Shadowrun's kind of dropped the ball and is the most worthless version of it it's ever been. But Cyberpunk's back being popular again because everyone realized, hey, look, the dystopia that we were all warned about is happening, which is great because like all of our media and all of our entertainment is like, hey guys, if you build the Pain Sphere 2000 from Evil Dick Corp, we shouldn't do that. Meanwhile, tech bro Dick Sucker Von who works for Mossad goes, I want to build Evil Dick Corp and I want to build the Pain Sphere 2000. Look, I have built it and it's great. I will, and now you get to go. The Pain Sphere 2000 will solve 4 crimes a year. So that's why all of you must be strapped to it. Why? Fuck you, Mossad. Back off. Back off. You're antiseptic for questioning my system, because they're always paid for by the same people. And so we're all realizing that as our media and our tech systems all kind of merge and unify into one, we're going to be seeing soon probably, megacorp versus megacorp. And since we keep handing more and more power over to the corporations, we're going to get where the corporations can do whatever the fuck they want. And thanks to the glories of data centers, because we all need to be monitored in real time by cameras at all time. So we need to be able to track everything you've ever done for your entire life, and we need to build 4,000 things because I am too stupid to use a search engine. So people need to be able to turn on a computer and go, dear computer, how brush teeth? What food eat? You should eat rocks and glue. Okay, eat rocks and glue. For my smart computer glass thing tells me to eat rocks, and you're like, who the fuck runs the algorithm? We know who the fuck runs the algorithm. A fucking South African who's high on drugs. That's who runs the algorithm. Who runs the algorithm for Google? Some fucking curry eater from goddamn India who doesn't give a shit about anybody because he's scamming everyone. Who the fuck runs the algorithm out of China? Some fucking guy who lies to everyone and serves the CCP. Who runs most of the algorithms? Well, it's some guy who's going, I want to upload my brain into the internet and then fuck everyone because I want to build robots to replace you all. I will live forever in the internet, and I will ascend to a new, higher future. And yes, this is what a lot of them think. And all of you can fucking die because I will have a robot army who will do everything for me. And
who run New World?
Yeah, not us. We're all expendable. Congratulations. But so, hey, we're all now looking at the idea of, man, this might actually be the cyberpunk future that we were wanting to, that everyone was saying was a terrible idea and was dehumanizing and was a miserable experience. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Hey, look at that. Now we have it. And you know what we don't have? Cheap health care. Which, if you played Shadowrun, like if you play Cyberpunk, the way it was written in the 80s, and you look at how cheap healthcare is in Cyberpunk, you realize we got the worst of it. We got the shitty internet and the holograms and the advertisement and all of this, but we ain't paying for cheap health. We don't get cheap health care because
we live in a RoboCop world.
Yeah, no, we live in the shittiest of all the futures, and we're okay with this because we're told we're okay with this because, hey, I mean, I wouldn't mind living in a cyberpunk dystopia if I had the ability to go see a doctor and my car was cheap. But my car is a pile of shit built by a useless company that decided to fire all the engineers and hire a computer to build it, or worse, hired a bunch of Mexicans who decided to build the worst car humanly possible. This is Ford, by the way, just so you know. Ford fired a bunch of good engineers, shipped a bunch of AI and hired a bunch of Mexican engineers, and then suddenly they have the most recalls in the entire industry. And then they realize, oh shit, maybe we need to hire Americans who know how to design shit. Oh hey, our company is shit because we hired a bunch of fucking foreigners. Hey, look at that. Or maybe, and then people are like, I just want to buy Chinese. Sure, if you want your car to catch fire randomly for no fucking reason because Chinese batteries suck. I mean, hell, BYD has decided to go, well, to save the people, In the event of our batteries catching fire, we're going to build an ejection system for the battery. Hey, your car is catching fire. We're going to fling this burning battery out of the car and into whoever the fuck is next to you. So that way you'll be fine. Fuck everyone else. That's where Chinese EVs have gone to, and even everyone's going, that was a horrible idea. Why the fuck did we do EVs? And don't worry, we're going to sell private corporations like Google access to nuclear reactors, so that way they can run it. We're going to war to blow up somebody. We've been blowing up somebody for months because they might have a nuclear reactor. But don't worry, we're gonna let Google and some private surveillance company buy nuclear reactors and operate them because, well, we need to be watched at all times in case some of us is a no word, and the algorithm can flag us and take away everything that we do because we said no words.
You mean that we might possibly say things that offend other people? Like,
yeah.
How are we going to survive? I mean, we need to start instituting fines. If you make somebody feel uncomfortable, no matter if you live in a free state like, say, Minnesota or something, if you call them a bad word, we're going to give you a ticket for disturbing the peace. Even though they might be stalking you, you can't say a bad thing about them.
You can't. And oh my god! And if you say an antiseptic word, oh fuck! Oh fuck! You might be. If you question the narrative that's being given to you, you might be fucking ruined. Ah, man, you're spreading antiseptic conspiracy theories on Minecraft. Fuck you and fuck your family, fuck your home, fuck everything. Because I have a dedicated team of 500 specialists monitoring the internet at all times in case you say bad words that might anger 1% of the population. Fuck yeah.
You know,
but don't worry.
It makes me laugh because I'm a trash Guinea, right? You know, Guinea is kind of like the N word for Italians. Guinea, Dago, Wop, and it's kind of funny if you're in a crappy Somali-ran city up in Minnesota, you can't say a word that really doesn't apply to them because, like, I'm just gonna blurt this out. You could be a person with dark melanin, and in America we typically call those black.
Yeah.
But then you have like a couple rungs down, and you can still be black, but then you get to like the Turanian level, and now it starts getting like you can call them a jigaboo, porch monkey, nigger, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then below that you have Somali, because I know black people of varying stripes and creeds and morality. They will work their ass off once they get to their chosen destination to make their money. Be it if they're a firefighter, a doper, doesn't matter if they're going to be an law-abiding citizen or if they're going to be a criminal. They're just like whites. But in my few times, I've had to deal with Somalis. A couple times at truck stop, a few times up in Minneapolis, the center of the cancer. Every time I've thought, like, I got it. I understood Margaret Sanger. I didn't ever put it together. I didn't think she was talking about like the general, like most like regular non-Somali black people, like Congolese or Nepalese or people from like Egypt or something of that set. But you have Somali, and if I call you a Somali, I've just bypassed the N-bomb. I've just gone past cunt, bitch, motherfucker. And I've called you a Somali. You're like the bottom tier of humanity, or what could be suggested as humanity. You're a creature. There's nothing much worse I could call you than you're a fucking worthless Somali piece of shit. And that's where each and every one of those examples have always languished while I've had to deal with them. They don't accept discussion, criticism, help. Had one rip a bumper off of my partner's truck when we were up in Minneapolis, and then he just drove off. And 2007, trying to get a camera in a fucking truck stop. Hey, did we have any CCTV cameras here? No, they don't. They don't. Because if they did, they'd have to go through 7 to 10 reports of that shit a day. Because the local truckers in Minneapolis were garbage. And sadly, there's more of them here now. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, like, some people might be saying, like, Jews are a problem. And
No.
that's okay for those that want to be antiseptic. I get it. But I really hate the Somalis. and
honestly, to kind of divert this is that I just kind of want to get that almost Teddy Roosevelt mentality of we need to get back to just having a common culture rather than get rid of the hyphenated. If they're hyphenated Americans, that they're not. I just want an American. I just want to get back to that.
I would love that. We don't have that. I don't think we're ever going to not have a hyphenated culture because nowadays, like, we have a whole month for you to proclaim to everybody and shove it down your throat that you take it up the ass. Which, if that's okay, I mean, that's good for you if that's your goal, but I would prefer to keep my sexual habits hidden, Like, I don't like it when I'm showing my friends a screenshot of Reddit and off to the side it has Amazon position. I'm like, fuck! That's the last thing I want to see when I'm showing off. Like, I'm trying to display something to my comrades and my friends. Yeah. And it's God damn it. This is thank goodness I'm a normal deviant. I'm not some degenerate that would be going crazy for the old photos of what's that kid's name? The 5-year-old model that died in their mom dad's basement. John Benet Ramsey. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not a PDF file, but I am a deviant. Whenever I see muscular women doing wrestling moves on each other, I'm like, okay, I'll watch. I guess I'm normal. yes, Damien Tracy. Yes. Jesus Christ loves you. Some of you are enjoying the Sabbath already. Congratulations. We're here stuck in Degenerate Saturday. Oh, my God. But we're never going to get away from what we've got right now. We've got too much of a brewing civil war, I think. And I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I know. And that's because that's what the media wants us to feel. I mean, that a lot of this comes down to who controls the narrative, and the narrative only shows anger, division, and tribalism, which is exactly what the people who control the media want.
It's functioning exactly as it was designed.
Right, and the thing is that most people, most people just want to cooperate and get through life. But the thing is that you need someone to get angry at and keep everyone angry and inflamed. It's the more we're all firing in every direction besides the people who actually matter. We're never going to do anything. And I think that's kind of the reason why, while we're heading towards it, we're never going to get there, because for a civil war to happen, you need something to actually divide, an actual hard dividing line. And there isn't enough of one to create a regional, like, the best you're gonna get is a bunch of insular fighting, a bunch of rebels just blowing up shit randomly. But the thing is that we're not desperate enough yet they haven't leached enough money out of us yet that we're all unemployed and desperate. I mean, something's got to happen, and there are certain grifters. I will point to a certain beanie hat wearing dipshit who streams all throughout the week and lives in West Virginia, not too far outside Washington D.C., just enough so that way he can have his beanie skateboard compound, and talk about how much but we all know that he's pushing his own cultural and cultural values in his fighting, and we kind of know that he takes money from foreigners. So, he's got his agenda and we have ours. And the thing is that the question you always got to ask is who's profiting? And if somebody can afford a multi-million-dollar fortified complex in the woods with armed guards, dude, he's grifting. And everyone who's making money off of this shit, you got to question: are you making money because you're legit, or are you chasing an algorithm and right now you're cashing in the bucks? Someone's paying you to say bullshit, and since most media people are soulless cash grabbers who will say whatever the fuck that hey, if you got enough zeros, I'll say anything. And at that point, you've got no standards, you have no morals. The moment you say, I'll take your money and say your shit, you're a soulless, grifting piece of shit. And honestly, I don't want to listen to those people. But they run everything. The fact that when you turn on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, all of them are propaganda outlets. Well, look who's paying for their shit, and who's advertising, who's paying for them, who do they bow to whenever somebody barks, and that's who controls them. And I don't trust any of them because, well, if you got an ad read, you're fucking selling shit, and oh no, to all of us people who are like, hey, I'm selling food that you can reheat to eat better, or here's my coffee company, or buy a t-shirt and buy some shit and buy some energy drinks. Those people I trust far more than and now a moment from our sponsors. Hi, I'm an old person and my butt is on fire and my skin is flaky. Please, but thankfully, because I found limp dickalol, I feel better about the fact that I am a decrepit old piece of shit, and I haven't died yet.
Have you tried the Taco Bell salad?
Yeah, go see your doctor for any questions you might have. Side effects include 15 minutes later, all the shit is, but don't worry, limp dickall will solve all your problems. Hi, I'm somebody who's going to tell you that the world is kind of shitty right now, and it's a scary place. You know what you need to do? Buy gold. Transfer all of your wealth and assets to this thing where we send you a piece of paper that says you have gold. Are you okay? Yes. Now, if you transfer all of your 401k and your pension plans over to our Gold Saver plan, we will guarantee that your piece of paper that says you have money will be safe when the markets collapse and catch fire. Don't pay no attention at all to the Chinese versions of this that have collapsed because of this. Buy more gold. Drive the gold price up so that way we, who do actually have the gold, can actually continue our Ponzi scheme. Are you afraid yet? You're not? Here's 15 more minutes of bad news. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour.
They're doing nothing but selling misery porn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind porn, but there's a couple porns I don't watch. One is misery porn, the other is boomer porn, which I gotta thank Veteran of the Sign this weekend because he introduced me to a word that I've been trying to describe whenever I discuss the movie or TV show Tulsa King.
Okay, what word?
Have you seen Tulsa King? Yes or no?
No, but what word?
It's called boomer porn.
Okay.
Boomer porn is basically like, hey, back in the old school, we didn't have credit cards or debit cards or didn't pay with apps. We had cash. Oh, okay, well, we take cash too. Your coffee is going to be $3.95. Holy cow. Back in the old days, back when I was growing up in Brooklyn. Sir, this is Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, I know. But back when I was growing up, like a coffee cost you like a quarter. Sir, a gallon of gasoline is now over $3 a gallon. We try to equate it with that. Well, you ain't getting no gallon of gas out of no coffee. Sir, have you ever had our coffee before? You're going to be in that toilet in about 20 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, I guess here's your $4. Take the nickel as tip. I hope it provides you all the riches you need. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, fucker. And then he's like, back in my day, we wouldn't be talking to, a customer like that. And the entire show, the entire Tulsa King, is him talking to somebody, meeting a hot chick, fucking a hot chick, then getting into a poorly choreographed fist fight because Stallone's had like procedures done, and he looks like he's had procedures done, continuing to have procedures done. And it's a poorly choreographed fist fight with other aging Hollywood actors, guys that you would never see in a what I would call a AAA martial arts movie in 2026, like Furious. He's not going against like The Rock or Vin Diesel even, and those guys, in my opinion, have aged out of the action category. No, it's some actor that's been in Hollywood for over 40 years. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? He's like over 60 years old, and they're having fist fights. 60-year-old men, 60-plus-year-old men having fist fights, not gunfights, not calling somebody up to have somebody else do the job for them as a proper man should. If you're over the age of 50, or if you could be in the age category of general and military, you probably don't need to get into a fist fight. You can, but you're generally probably, there's a 90% chance you're going to lose. And
He should have called upon his JoJo avatar.
Every one of the shows, every one of these seasons for Tulsa King is the same fucking shit. Where you meet a guy and Stallone's like, back in the old days, back in the old days. And then like he gets out of bed with a hot chick. I did pretty good, didn't I? Yeah, I still got it. Yeah. And that's like the entire show. Stallone is a very talented man. He's directed, he's produced, he edits, he fucking choreographs, he's acted, he's done his own stunts. He's pretty talented. He broke his fucking collarbone in the Expendables with Stone Cold. Holy shit, the guy's very talented and he's resilient. That's great. But I really just don't like the Tulsa King because all of it ties back to the fact like, hey guys, look, we got a 77-year-old guy on fucking screen and he's getting into a fist fight now. And part of me is thinking like, just one hit on the chest, one wrong hit on the chest, he has a fucking heart attack. He dies right here during the filming. I'm not into it. And I've been trying to tell people for 3 seasons, like, I don't want to watch Tulsa King. I watched the first season. I tried watching the second, and it was really bad. It was really bad. And my friends are like, well, you're kind of a fat fuck too. I'm like, yeah, but I've never fucking won an Oscar for my boxing film, and I've never had a fucking team of scientists and fucking gym trainers to show me how to get shredded. Stallone looked better in his 60s than he did in his 40s.
The really bad part is that that's a show, but I live that like when I live a part of that boomer porn mentality because I work at an auto parts store. And
oh no.
so I get all these guys who come in there and they're like, back in my day, and I'm like, oh fuck. And I can always tell them when they're because they come in still acting like, you know, like I drive a 70s muscle car. I'm like, congratulations for A, still owning it, B, still knowing how to work on it, but you're not in your 20s and 30s anymore. You're in your 70s. And you're hobbling in here complaining that it's just getting so hard to work on cars. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you're working on your 1968 Mustang that you've owned since high school. And you're showing me the photo because you want to make sure that I know you have that car. And he's like, I used to be able to walk into a Napa and I'd be able to just find whatever I needed. Like I was able to walk into an auto parts store, find whatever I needed, and I'm sitting here going in the back of my head going, yeah, because back in those days we only had like 4 engines, and they were in every goddamn car. And yeah, and it was held together by a spring and then some sheet metal and some other fucking crap. Yeah, and he's like, well, why don't you have lock rings in stock? Because nothing requires lock rings anymore, sir. Very, very few things still require a lock ring. Well, don't you just know every oil seal off the top of your head? No, because most things don't fucking require that. They require them, but most of the things that are on the road don't require that anymore. Well, don't you? No. Brutal honesty. No, I don't. I know more about other shit these days. But they're like, well, and then they walk in like, I got this size, and this size an engine. I'm like, fuck, okay, sir. I don't know a fucking thing about that. Well, why don't you? Well, first off, I'm sure you got T-shirts older than me. And I'm 48, and I'm pretty sure you got shit older than me that you still wear. And I'm sorry, I don't fucking I have my head into an ancient engine that isn't fucking around anymore. And I'm like, sir, I'm sorry to tell you that in 1986 we computerized everything. We don't do that anymore. Well, don't you know carburetors? No, because the last car that I owned that had a carburetor on it was an old piece of shit I bought when I was 18 in the 90s, and it was already a 20-year-old car, and I got rid of that. I hate my modern car, but I couldn't maintain that thing. But well, okay, you just don't know shit, young one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not drawing a pension, you fucking retard. I'm sorry that.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry that I'm not familiar with the Loctite ultra rare dragon based flywheel nut that you need to be able to tie your muffler back to your car.
Leave Loctite alone. They are a magic company that produces a wide variety of very good adhesives and chemicals and other fun things that make it sure that your rattling shit piece does not just throw a bolt. We offer everything from low strength. You can pop it with a hand tool to shit you need an impact wrench for. And boy, do I sell it, and no one buys it except for this little old lady who walks in and goes, "I need the purple," and I'm like, "What? Purple? Oh shit, we do sell purple. Fuck, I don't have it in stock." Like, what do you plan on? What the fuck do you plan on? Needing to keep that bolt from moving that requires purple Elmer school glue. But yeah, no, you're not wrong about I don't have the ultra rare thing that you need, because, and luckily there's still one shop that's run by an old timer, and this guy's been like around for an eternity, and I'm like, well, let me see if there's still an old place that's open, and found this one guy out in the middle of nowhere who's like, I still run a shop that looks like it came out of the 70s, and we're like, do you have this ridiculously obscure old part? And he goes, yeah, I got a whole bunch of them. And I'm like, holy shit, when do you close? And I'm like, old man, I have found another old man like you. Go be amongst your own kind and like release him back out into the wilderness and push him down the road.
And wait for the inevitable news report of an old man hitting a kid.
Honestly, at that point, I don't care because they're not in my goddamn parking lot. But that's okay.
I love it.
Yeah,
I fucking love it. I'm telling you, like, hearing you talk about this shit, and like, I just realized, oh God, Khy's entire 40-hour work week is one continuous story, started and ended at the same point with every customer. You know, back in my day, everybody had a fucking thick left calf because they had a clutch through everything. And
yeah.
if you
Everyone had a 350 engine in it, and they're all the same engine. Really, they are. And we used to be able to buy alternators for, like, what do you mean that alternator costs $280? Reman. Oh, but back in my day, we could buy that for, $50. And I'm like, sir, when that was that cheap, I wasn't even born yet. You were getting drunk off of 5-cent cans of beer and smoking cheap ass weed from a ditch.
You had pull tabs on your fucking beer cans.
Yeah.
When you didn't have the modern. No, you had a pull tab on your beer can.
And you were pumping leaded gas into your tank. Thank you.
I'm getting lightheaded thinking about that shit.
I know, but it's like, I'm sorry, your car was pre-EPA and leaded gas. I'm sorry. Or when I have some guy who wanders in and I say shouldn't they wander, hobble in, and I look and I see and I hear the door ping, and I can tell that when I see some kind of wrinkly bald head or some very patchy stretch of thin hair come tottering down around like no. See, you got a bald head of somebody who's not old yet. No, I can tell old bald now.
Old bald. That's funny because to me that sounds a lot like Goblin Slayer. His name is Orc Bald.
Orc Bald. Yes. When we translate it from dwarf, it means shit piece. But yeah, no, he comes waddling. They always come tottering and thing is they pass everybody else on the counter, and for some reason choose me, for I am the only one who has white hair, because my beard has some white and my hair is mostly white. It's about half white now. So they will bypass the girl who knows shit, because she grew up in a family of mechanics. She knows what she's doing about 85% of the time. There's some things that are just too obscure for even her to know. Then she'll walk past they'll walk past my boss, who's a little younger than me, but he's got a decade and a half of experience in a body shop. He knows shit. And then they walk past my assistant manager, who he's spent 18 years selling auto parts. He knows his shit, but he's not very personable. I, on the other hand, am at the end of the entire counter, and I am the only one with a smile on my face because I'm friendly and I have customer service skills. And so they wander their way
You have
to
a
me.
12 charisma. You have a 12 charisma, which basically, when people get assigned to go to your Napa store, they're getting the deployment 10 when they get to you.
Yes. Yes. And my only major talent is, boy, do I know how to use a catalog. Like, I know how to actually use the old paper catalogs, and I can Google shit. That's how I fucking know anything. Am I a fucking master mechanic? No, because it isn't a steam engine. It's like,
If it was a steam engine, let me show you what I can do.
Oh man, do you want me to go into extreme detail about how how to build the gears that mesh so I can put 4 steam engines onto one shaft? Fuck yeah, I could do that. Oh man, can you explain to me how what oil I need for my differential for my 2018 Ford F-150? I'm like, fuck no, I don't, because Ford's retarded. But don't worry, so Chevy and so's everybody. Can you give me a Nissan part? Fuck no, I can't. Hey, I drive a Mitsubishi. Congratulations, we got nothing. Hey, I've got a Land Rover. Good luck. Just go to Land Rover. I have a BM. Fuck it. No. You just said European. Go the fuck away. But I'm friendly. I'm nice. And then they come on and go, I need parts for a 1956 Etzel. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Why are you here? Can you find me the parts I need to make the light bulbs in the back of the thing? I go, do I look even as old as you that I would even have worked on that? It's an Etzel. I have the light bulb. Can you match the light bulb to it? And their hand is shaking, and I'm like, who the fuck is working on your goddamn car? Because it sure the fuck ain't you. Or maybe you are. He's like,
I love it. I love seeing people that are driving a car older than me, and then they say something to me like, hey, it's for sale. If you got 18,200, I'll take that. You can have the pink of this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, my car, Kelly Blue Book, might be worth 18 or might be worth 24. I don't know. It's a 2018 Sub. And I would buy it for that because I know Subaru. I know the parts are still available. I know once Subaru puts something in their Legacy or in their Impreza or in their WRX, it's going to be in that model forever. If I bought an Impreza from the 90s, it's still viable. If it was the 2010s, I could still find that part. Being this is 2018, I've got another 15 years I can find parts for it because they're still going to be making them.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
It's true.
And I'm looking at this guy driving a 1967 fucking Pinto with a matching gas cap. And I'm like, I don't understand how that's on the road doing the speed limit of 65. I must congratulate you for keeping it going. He's like, well, if you'll just give me 18,200, I'll luckily give you the keys to it. I'm like, no, sir. I appreciate your charity, but I don't want to buy that.
I don't want the maintenance problem with it.
I don't. I really don't.
Okay, so there are 2 people in Peoria who drive 1960s era Triumph Spitfires or Spitfire derivatives. From the 60s. They come to to my store because I've had one and I know what the fuck they're looking for. But every time they come in, and it's like, what are you looking for? And like, looking for this. I'm like, okay. You drive one of these. Do you know how hard it is to find this shit? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, here's the headlights. These are the only thing you're going to find in Peoria. Well, how do you know? Because I fucking know. I fucking know how hard it is to find this shit. So it's like, you're driving an antique. And hell, anybody who like, here's a word of advice: if you drive any kind of luxury car, like like that comes from Chevy or GM, just shoot yourself, because you can't find parts for anything from GM. It's like, hey, like, do you drive a straight Chevy, like an actual Chevy? Parts are available. I drive a no. I drive a no. There are no Buick parts. There are no Cadillac parts. They don't exist. But I have a. You're driving a luxury car. Luxury cars assume that. Okay, so there's a running joke going on at my job, and and I told this joke now to other people in other stores, and they're like, no, that's an actual legit statement. And the joke really is, if you can't afford it new, you can't afford it used. You can't afford to maintain it.
Yeah.
And people who buy luxury cars new are old fucks who are buying it on a lease for 5 years, and then once their 4 to 5 years are done with the lease, they give it back to the dealership, and they get another new car because they're old and they have money and they're stupid. They don't want to fix shit, and since all cars are designed to fall apart in 5 years, you're passing all the maintenance problems off to the next guy who's going to buy it. Who's going to be like, I'm going to buy me a Cadillac. That'll make me look really good in my neighborhood, because I'm driving a Cadillac. Are you the first owner? No, I bought it used. One owner used from a dealership. I'm like, all right. Could you have afforded that car when it was new? No. Then don't buy it. You can't afford it. You can't afford to maintain it. That BMW, because I have people who walk into my own store and go, hey, I own a BMW. Why? And like, why do you own that? Well, because it's a BMW. No, it's a late model BMW. It's a 2006 BMW. No, it's not a real BMW. No, it's a real BMW. It's legit. It's good. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yes, it is, but no, it's not. And they're like, well, how much for parts for this thing? And I'll tell them it's $400. Man, what? No, it can't be $400. Yeah, that's $400 for a reman. Oh man, I don't want to pay $400. And I'm like, go to AutoZone. AutoZone will get it to you for $250, but it'll be shitty quality and it'll fall apart fast. Man, I just need a water pump. Oh, that's fun. That's $380. I need to charge you about $120 for the core deposit, because I want that water pump back. Man, so I gotta give you like almost $600. Yep. I don't have that kind of money. No, you do. You just don't want to pull out your giant wad of cash of your neighborhood street pharmacy cash that you've got. And I don't want it, because I don't want that much cash in my goddamn drawer. So I want it on a card, please, because fuck your cash on that much, because I know you're going to return it, and you return it tomorrow, and I won't have that kind of money for the next week, because I don't keep it. I deposit that much money, and so no, I can't give you a return. And you're gonna probably want to put it on your Chime card, your fake money bank card, because none of you have real money anymore. And I hate it. I live in this eternal zone of dumbass boomers and fucking straight rats who are just buying more than they can afford, and then being confused that cars cost money, and when they both agree on saying that's just too much money, and I'm like going, fucking walk, I don't care. I had one guy tear my ear off because why don't you have the same sales that somebody else has? Because I'm not them. You should give me a discount. No, I ain't giving it. If I had it my way, I'd give you a fucking increase in the price. But then again, I don't. I hate people. I hate walk-ins, because honestly, fuck y'all. The people I want are the ones who come in, they know exactly how much it is, they know the part that they need, and when I say it's $500, they go, all right, it's $500. And then they get it and then they leave because they are professionals. They are the guys who work in their garage and go, all right, $500, and or it's going to be 3 days. I can have it here in 3 days. All right, 3 days sounds fair. What I hate is the weekend warriors, the weekend mechanic who walks in and goes, man, my car broke. And I'm like, not a problem. Well, what do you mean you can't get it today? Well, if you want to pay for, it's not anywhere near here. I can get it here in 3 days, but I need it like today. And I'm like, well, I can't make things magically appear. I can get it here tomorrow if you want to pay me $500 in shipping to overnight a CV shaft from Denver, Colorado.
That sounds pretty reasonable. I'm just saying, as a guy that, my livelihood depends upon having the parts installed in my vehicle.
Yeah,
that's okay. If I was under that gun, I'd be paying it. But these guys, they're busters. They don't have a pressing.
And the thing is that the people who fucking know this and do their job right, I will bend, like, who know their shit and know that when they ask me to bring them a drive shaft for a Ford F350, sorry, F450, and it's a newer model one, so there's not a whole lot of them floating around in spare parts yet. So it's like, can you get me the because I have a 4-wheel drive F450 and it's a dually and I need all those extra bits, and how can you get it to me? I'm like, yes, it's expensive. Okay, how fast can you get it to me? I can get it here in 2 days. I need it tomorrow. Are you willing to pay me $600 to get this thing flown in? Yes, it'll be here tomorrow at like 3 in the afternoon. Okay, done. And then I get my UPS guy driving up there and going, what the fuck did you just order? And he's like, it's been in the back of my truck all day. And I'm like, well, you should have got me first. It wouldn't have been in your truck all day. And, and then I'm unfolding this, he's carrying it in and I'm helping him carry it and go, awesome. I have a crate now that's got this thing in it. And that's the part of my job I like. I like, when I get to order a transmission or I get to order something big and stupid and then have it paid for without question because they use the company credit card and the company account, and it's like, sweet, this is a $2,000 order. Fuck yeah. But when I have some goofball who walks in and he's like, I need an axle seal ring for something ancient and obscure and fucking no one's made it in 40 fucking years. Well, you're Napa. You got everything. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I've got everything. You got every obscure thing in the entire universe. Sure the fuck do, my friend. But, yeah, it's in a warehouse in Minnesota. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I bought my car because I had 3,000 miles, $3,000 left to pay on my Honda Civic, and it's getting ready to start having a whole bunch of problems in it. I could either man up and pay for those problems, or I could shove them onto the next owner and get something I really wanted to drive.
Yeah.
My buddy just got a gig at AutoNation as a general manager.
Good for him.
AutoNation. They're the car variant of Napa. Napa is a giant warehouse with every car part you ever thought of. It's just a matter of time for them to ship it to you.
Yeah.
However, AutoNation doesn't sell parts. They sell whole cars.
Okay.
Like, everything is available coast to coast. And God damn it, I want a WRX. And I find one with 34,000 miles on it.
That's not bad.
2018.
But that
This
little,
is in
that's not bad.
2024. This was okay, 6,000 every fucking year. This is a weekender car. I wonder what's wrong with it. Well, I'm starting to find out now. I got to get brakes done. That's not going to be cheap. Okay, whatever. But I knuckle up and I get ready for this, and it's going to be a neat little struggle.
Okay.
And I get the car ordered, and it takes them 4 weeks to get the car. It's sitting in the garage, but the garage is in the middle of a hurricane zone in Houston, and they have 3 hurricanes in the summer of 2024, 2 of
Oh,
which are
no.
moderately bad. But I get my car. They ship it. So I get my car. First thing I notice, I got to get tires on it. I don't really pay attention to much else, but now I realize brakes need to get worked on because the brakes weren't worked on. I just paid this February I paid for a new clutch because they had a racing clutch installed, which was really fun because you had to shove your entire foot into it. But once you understood that, you were good. Now I've got the standard clutch, which feels like I can bat it around with my left hand. I can like pinky press it. So I'm really impressed with this car, but the fact that it runs the way it does stock, it kind of makes me baffled. But I like this car. I realize that as the cars are progressing, and I don't ever want to buy a new car. If you're going to mandate that I have to stare into a camera to turn it on, if I have to fucking tell the computer, hey, when I put the brakes on at an intersection, you can idle off. No, I'm not giving you permission for that. I don't like the new cars
Nope.
at all.
Nope.
And I don't know who the fuck is making these decisions with these bad committees to make the cars this retarded. But these cars are retarded as hell. I had to drive
Yes.
a cross trek while getting the clutch worked on. And every time I started up, I had to remind the car, hey, don't turn off when I, get to a stoplight. Because otherwise it would turn off when they get to a stoplight. By the way, it's a Subaru, and everybody and their sister thinks that when you drive a Subaru, you've got a clutch and a 6-speed. And so they're wanting to race you, and you're like, I got an automatic, I'm sorry. My car shuts off automatically at these stoplights. I really can't race you. It's the funniest shit. The look of disgust these other drivers give you when you're driving a retard automatic car. And that's exactly what it is. It's a retard automatic car because for some odd reason we can't have manual shift anymore.
Oh,
And I
God,
know
no.
there's some people that they love automatics. I get it. And some people are like, oh my God, I get to hold my wife's hand or shit, whatever that is. When I get in the car, 99% of the time when I'm in the car, I'm the driver. I'm in tune with the road. I know what the engine's doing when I sit into the seat. I can feel it. I know what's going on. Taking away the clutching and the shifting from me
Yep.
does nothing to help the betterment of the vehicle.
Nope.
In fact, I feel like I've lost connection with the car. There's a lag going on. And driving around that automatic, I really did like the Crosstrek for the height, the suspension, the way it handled, because I have to drive onto a ranch. And sometimes I realize I've got a really good car because I've got really stiff suspension, and it's meant for rallies. It was built as a rally car. That's the WRX, that's the Impreza, and that's what they're supposed to do. But like normal vehicles going onto that ranch, it's like you're jumping off of a cliff. You're going wee because some of those potholes are big.
Yes, they are.
And I just have a laugh whenever I watch other people drive into the ranch because like their S10 or their Ford Ranger, like the Rangers don't have that good of suspension. And watching the Ranger oscillate and bump and like waddle in, It's like watching one of your 75-year-old men come in with your 60s Edsel trying to order a specialty part at Napa Auto Parts with the only smiling guy with long hair looking like he's a roadie for ELP cover band or something. And instead you find out, like, wait, Blaine, you haven't been a lifelong mechanic. You just have a smile on your face. You look like Captain Customer Service here. You're the deployment 10 in this entire store. That girl over there would be the deployment 10, but she has a scowl on her face because she can tell I'm bullshitting. I just drive an automatic, and she's been working on Camaros since she was 6 years old and had to hold the flashlight for her daddy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Your story reminds me so much of like all the other friends I've had that worked over at Advanced Auto Parts and shit like that. Oh my god.
Honestly, it's kind of like we've all done it, and it's one of those miserable jobs, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm still smiling at this shit. Why the fuck am I doing this? And the bad part is that I know how to police the angry away real fast because it's like I can be the most angriest, just cursing motherfucker. But the second that door dings when the phone rings, it's just like, "Hi, I'm happy. How can I help you?" And everyone, and a few of the shops who known me for a few years are like, "Yeah, no, just I dropped the happy act, okay?" I'm like, "Sure thing." But
That's funny.
yeah, no, because one of them was like, "Sup, sunshine? How you doing today?" And I'm like, about as good as you are." And he's like, "Oh man, that fucking sucks." And I'm like, "Yeah, this job sucks. Your job sucks. Why the fuck are we both here?" He goes, "I don't know. Anyway, I got problems." And I'm like, "All right, let's work on it." And I've gotten to the point where I can be that nonchalant about it.
So we're getting ready to bring on a third truck at my job.
Woo!
We'll have it built in 3 months. My boss and I argued about it back and forth. As much as I don't have any money in this business, I take money out every week with my pay. Um, my boss on my input, and I fought him tooth and nail. I'm like, I want a Mac. What? Why the fuck do you want a Mac truck for? I'm like, it's a piece of shit. It handles like hell. But if you have to drive it on an oil field road with no county or state maintenance, it will be the only vehicle you have that can traverse the potholes at 10 miles an hour to 15 miles an hour. Everything else is going to drop bolts. They're going to drop parts. You're going to have shit rattle apart on you.
Yeah.
I would want a Mack truck each and every day that we do this job, especially with one of the dumps we have, because we just open up. Our dumping has opened up to where we go back to this one place on the south side of town where there's ruts and it's mud. It's not rock, it's mud. And I just want a reliable truck that I can trust to get me to and from places all day. And a Mack truck, as much as I absolutely brace for shock every time I get one in gear, I know for a fact when I'm driving a Mack truck that it's going to be just as good as I am when I roll back in the yard at the end of the day. We're going to be fine. And
Yeah.
my boss, as much as he says that's understandable, I agree with you. He bought a Peterbilt. And I'm like, what? He's like, I bought a Pete. We already have an account with a Peterbilt company here. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to buy a new Mac, okay? And then as soon as I said that, his wife, who is always there to like, you ever see a couple that they do well together, but like if the wife and him disagree, the wife pulls out the nut punch card and she shows him the error of his ways.
100%, yes.
Okay. So she shows him on Facebook a Mack truck that would have been perfect for the 3,800-gallon tank we got. And I'm like, oh, don't show him that. So, if anything happens with this Pete that he's got on order, like I know what's going to happen. He's going to be, man, I should have listened to you. I should have been, and I'm going to hear this litany for the rest of time immortal because he's going to be like, I should have bought that Mac. I listened to you. I heard you give me the reasons for it. And I know you know the Mac mechanics because you've dealt with them before when you were driving for FTS and you were the primary driver for the fleet. I remember that. Da 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 da. But god damn it, his wife pulled out the fucking Facebook Marketplace and showed him a Mac truck for like $8,000 more, and it would have been a great it would have been a great investment. That's all I'm going to say. It's a 2011 Mac, and they had modified it to where there's no fucking there's no what do you call that? The diesel exhaust fluid. He disconnected it. Completely and totally illegal, by the way.
Right.
So you'd have to get that fixed, of course. But like a lot of the small companies around here will disconnect the diesel exhaust fluid and they don't run with that because there's so many people in San Antonio that just do not give a shit about that. And the local constabulary, when they're doing their examinations, they don't give a shit about it either. They really are more concerned about the weight of the vehicle. They're not worried about emissions, which is funny because everybody knows that the DEF, all it does is just it ruins the engine. It causes so many problems with the engine. So a lot of they've stopped being dicks about it. Like I'm sure if somebody sees it and they've got something against me, like we might get an exam, but the majority of the stuff we've dealt with in the past, everything is dealt with our certifications, which he's fixed that. He's got things like we didn't have the stickers on the truck. We had the paperwork in the folder, just didn't have the stickers applied to the truck. God bless it.
Thank you.
Poor David down there. David's like, when can we get back to gaming? Sorry, David.
Sorry.
It's okay. I also ate a little too much for dinner, so I'm in a half food coma right at the moment.
Oh, what'd you have for dinner?
Just a little bit of Arby's because normally we have like actual homemade food.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law hadn't started dinner until like I don't even know if he has because when he starts dinner late, we're not going to eat till like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock our time.
Arby's makes a fine sandwich.
Better than most places, I'll give it that. Most fast food places, you have to deal with grease. Arby's, it's salt.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
I'm not against Arby's. One of my first jobs I had after I got done detasseling, after I detasseled, I got a real job with like a W-2. I went to this place called Rack's Roast Beef, which I just found out they still have those across America, mainly Ohio. There's one in Joliet. This place had a really disturbing cartoon character as the company MC.
Huh.
And it was one of those restaurants that back in the 90s, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They thought like, well, we got roast beef and we bake potatoes all day. And tell you what, let's also have a salad bar. And they had an all-day salad bar that for $3.99 you could get a plate, go up there and load up on calories, and then go get another plate and fill it up and load up on more calories. And you would just cycle back, grab an endless amount of salad bar plates for you and however else was at the salad bar at your table on your ticket. And the salad bars what broke them. They had a good model. They had good roast beef. They had good bread. They had amazing fucking fries. The curly fries were shit, but no surprise, curly fries are always shit. it's amazing how good their food was until they added the salad bar, which for some odd reason that salad bar collapsed the majority of the company. There's like 5 of them left nowadays. I think there's more Rax roast beef restaurants than there are operating Big Boy restaurants. Remember Big Boy?
Yep.
Oh, oh, best milkshakes I ever had in my life. Sorry.
No worries.
I miss that place. That was like my favorite stop growing up in Decatur and driving past the Big Boy. Like, let's go to Big Boy. You're like 4 years old. You got like money coming out your ears, right? No, you're a fucking 4-year-old. You got no money. You're telling your mom like, I want to go to Big Boy. Yeah, so do I. I'm broke as shit, and I'm paid $1.75 minimum wage. God, I love the '70s. I don't. I'm so happy they're over. I'm going to spit out these coffee beans because I think I've sucked out all the juiciness out of them, and then I'll come back to this wonderful table. David, what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, what I was thinking about was I read one of Kai's rants earlier, specifically about the balance of magic to characters.
Okay.
I was thinking about it. So I was like, yeah, I'm basing a lot of my game off of anime. Problem is to make the wizards special, I kind of have to give them special abilities. But especially where I based it heavily off of Mage the Ascension, I kind of had to more or less give the regular people something to aim for in the way of power. But then I realized, what's the point of the mage?
Right. Oh God, how far back was that conversation? I just want to figure out where I read
that
at.
long ago. I think it was the one before last. Yeah, the one just above the iron nest I put in.
Okay, I just want to make sure I just want to catch up so I know what I was.
Yeah. What really caught my eye was the whole conversation about the magic physics, but it seemed kind of like it should. I mean, I actually play it off like in all of my games. I played off that if you had like the equivalent of a tricorder, for example, you could actually see a chemical reaction happening as a fireball is flying by.
Well, on that I was kind of going with the idea that for some things people want to have magic being special and all and not, but excuse me. I think when it comes to that kind of mentality is that it has. I think what I was trying to point for was that if oh God, sorry, I'm rechanging gears on this get back to what I was thinking then, and I know which anime. I know by choosing like say like One Piece. One Piece is very God. It's scattershot on where it comes from, so it's really hard to be able to pin down what any kind of like really solid power structure to make that series work. I'm to pull from a few other shows. I'm going to ignore a show that's any of the the power trip, power fantasy isekais, because those are all about just being power trips. And obviously, because you know that you understand the rules, you're better than everybody else. So I'm going to ignore something like solo leveling or any isekai at all. But when you compare it to like a show, like Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist was definitely one where they put thought into. They addressed magic as though it was indeed science. Like it was physics being understood. It's a very Mage the Ascension feel to it. But the thing is that when you start to look at the Ars Magica Mage the Ascension route, which really is an interesting but confusing route, is that when you start to play with that kind of a game, what you're kind of working at is your the methodology that powers your magic becomes critically important. Like how you do it, what your belief structure on how to do it, and other things works. Because one of the big things about with Mage is that there's 100 ways, like there's a number of ways to get to the same conclusion. If I'm playing a technocrat and my methodology and my paradigm, there's the word I was looking for, paradigm, is that I'm manipulating reality based off of my control of physics and chemistry. And when I create a fireball, I'm actually doing X, Y, and Z, and I am freeing the hydrogen molecules from the air and from the water in the air, and I'm detonating a fireball that way. While somebody else who's saying like iteration X, well, I know the source. Like my paradigm is I understand the source code for reality, and I'm actually where I'm perceiving reality as though the entire world is a simulation, and hypothesis paradox, and I'm going to just rewrite reality to create a minor tear and a this and boom, and but that could also be a virtual adept attitude. But if you're a celestial chorus member, your idea is that, well, obviously I can invoke the power of, I'm going to beseech God on my side, and I get a fireball. It's like your methodology and how you're working through it. Meanwhile, if you got someone who's also celestial chorus, but who takes not a Christian point of view, but more of a Buddhist or a Taoist or a Shinto point of view, and then they're like, no, I'm actually invoking the spirits in the area. I'm convincing them to work with me through deals and contracts, and I spontaneously create a fireball detonates. All of them are doing the exact same effect. They're creating a six dice fireball. It's going to, and it has the same range, same power, same damage, but everyone's way of applying it is different, and how they got to that conclusion. And well, that's how it's 100 ways to work towards one point of view. It's not, and that's different from say everyone's favorite fantasy RPG, where no, you need to invoke the exact same mechanics. Fireball appears, but fireball is an arcane only thing. You can't cast a fireball as a divine caster because divine casters don't have access to that spell. Even though you're kind of going, but my god is a god of fire. Why can't I? Oh no, that's now a domain spell that you can cast, and then suddenly you get all this convoluted ways of making magic hard because you want to have every class be different. Meanwhile, a druid is like, I'm an elementalist druid. I can literally spontaneously call lava from the ground, but I can't cast fireball or lightning bolt. No, you can call lightning, but you can't cast lightning bolt. They're different spells, different spell blocks, unless you're this one particular, and it creates this convoluted nature that is kind of dumb. But the thing here is that that's also with the mentality that nobody ever question, like in traditional fantasy, nobody can question anything because you don't. I mean, nobody, like, fireball is fireball. Fireball is always going to be fireball, and fireball is block. And I know I'm just using Fireball as an example because it's the most known generic spell. We all understand it. But for some reason, a mage can't heal. Well, heal is the domain of gods, and this one, but clerics can also do it, but so can bards, and so can druids, but wizards cannot, and sorcerers cannot because for some reason, even though they can shape change and polymorph, they don't know how to heal anything. And you can't call back the dead, but you can animate dead. And it leads to this thing of, but you could see in a world where if magic did exist, and it was something that was definable, it wouldn't be hard and long until you reach the Full Metal Alchemist setting, where magic's fantastic, but they figured out that it's alchemy or or if you're part of the not Chinese empire, it's alkahestry. And you also got to see hints of through Scar how a different form of magic functions and how it works by how it worked. So that's a very interesting. The thing is that, but then you reach a series kind of like Bleach. Bleach was definitely one where everyone's got some really amazing powers and some really cool things, but you can tell the creator had put a lot of work into making each of the three major power bases for that setting actually feel different and have some overlap. It felt like a more coherent series. Then you get to the other big name, Naruto. That creator, he put a lot of work in. Boy, is it kind of phrased at the edges, but it's got you've got the jitsus, you've got all the eyeball things, and it's a very good series. And then there's One Piece. Fuck One Piece. You have the fruit that can do anything. Things are just weird. And then halfway through the series, you get this almost Dragon Ball Z. Suddenly, the power scale and everything changes 100% into a new direction. And now it's all about, do you know how to channel your ki better? And I'm like going, wow, this is the change that went from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, where, boy, we could do some cool tricks in Dragon Ball, but suddenly the power scale jumps insanely once Z happens. Similarly, the moment they include the Hakas into One Piece, the power scale of the show goes in a whole new direction, and it's almost as bad as, say, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. The first two series are like, wow, this is an interesting thing, and then suddenly it changes on the third season to what the fuck am I watching? But that's also JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. It's one of those things. The thing is, all of those kind of point towards the idea that those are clearly that the author has no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're just kind of going, this is a cool thing now, and I want the cool thing to be the cool thing. And that's what kind of makes it interesting for if you're a reader. But man, if I had to design a game around the idea that, well, the first 20 levels of the game is entirely this, and when you hit 21, you unlock the ability to become God, and now you get to do weird, even more bonkers Dragon Ball Z shit. And I'm like,
are you actually get to be God? No, not technically. I mean, it seems like it, but then the next island. But when you get to the next island, trust me, you'll find out you're actually just a pipsqueak. God's actually there, right. But when you get to the next island after that, you'll find out that guy was a pipsqueak. I love One Piece, but I will have to agree it has a power scaling problem.
It's got a really good, interesting one, but but boy, is it crap. I mean, it's crap. It's really good, high quality crap, but it's still crap.
Yeah,
And
yeah, 100%.
it's like I can see why people would love it, but man, I don't want to I don't want to role play in it, nor do I want to create a setting that's based around that because, at a certain point, why is anyone on boats anymore? Why are we pirates?
Yeah.
We should be
Why
we
is
should
there
be
even a
flying
Navy?
around. Yeah, what's the Navy doing? You have no idea because they're just there, and it's kind of a similar problem to when I play Exalted. Exalted's got a similar problem of boy, the difference between a terrestrial level character and even the next tier up from terrestrial, from it becomes just the power grows immensely, and then when you get to like the select and like to the solar and the celestial tier stuff, the scale becomes just stupid. It's probably about the only RPG that I could say you could actually run late One Piece in because no other game does that. But then again, that's also a point by that point when you're running Essence 9, Essence 10, Essence 11 characters, you're having the ability of I stride all of creation in 3 steps type things, or I punch you and your grandmother dies in the past and then you died, and or I detach you from from reality and now you have no fate and no hope, no connection to like what the fuck are we doing at this point, guys? And it's a very metaphysical thing at that point, and it also gets away from the idea that anyone can actually understand your form of magic. And so when I think it's just that idea that we don't ever think about the full implication. Okay, side note, kind of this. What also is, that whole conversation came up from a different conversation in a different group about the idea of a lot of the idea of like, oh, I'll base it off the real world religion, and it's like, well, the problem with real world religion idea is like, I'm going to base on this. Like, it's like, none of us can talk to God. Outside of the few of you who get high on drugs and have a trip and you think you talk to God. Did you? I'm not sure. You can't prove it. But boy, but you and Napoleon had a great fucking conversation. I would Jesus in an elephant costume. Fantastic. But don't worry, you're channeling that all your votes and money needs to go to a car company that's going to invest in something stupid. Don't worry, you'll get a tax break. But we don't play that in our fantasy games. We get to actually talk to our gods. Like, our gods are not impersonable, unknowable. We don't have absentee landlords. And so why can't you just sit down and say, hey God, I have some questions. And you can actually have dialogue. You don't need to have some guy giving a weird sermon. You literally have someone who can show up and talk to you. And it's one of those things where, like, you can invite them over for tea. This shouldn't be and you can accept, okay, this is entirely because you will it, and now you can figure out where the limits of what a god can do. You can actually talk to an elemental and figure out, what are your limits? What can't you do? Well, I'm only the fire god who rules over. I'm the local fire god who keeps the volcano in here. My dominion only extends as far as the lava flows that come out of the volcano go. Well, at that point, fantastic. You now know what they can do. Hey, hey, goddess of healing, where are you? Where does your limits actually stop? And then you're like, oh no, I like, and she could like sit there and sit back there, drink her tea, and go, well, I can heal a lot of things, but I can't heal cancer. Well, why can't you heal cancer? Well, that's actually under the dominion of the god of the god of diseases and rampant growth and other shit. But you're in. Yeah, no, we have similar dominions. I just can't touch his plagues. But you can, but you can't. Like, it's a bargain. It's something like, oh, okay, because you run into the idea that gods in fantasy have limits, and which is the whole reason why I have a huge problem with the god just smites you. At which point you can kind of go, why hasn't he? Why hasn't he done anything else? Why isn't he smiting the bad guys? Why isn't he calling down Armageddon upon everyone else? But if I question your fucking god, I get smited, but you don't do it to anybody else. Well, yeah, there's a banker over there. You can fry that motherfucker, and it would fix so many things. But you won't do that. But I'm being a smartass. Well, you're the one at my table. You're a useless piece of shit, you fucking fat ass. Oh yeah, and your avatar behind the DM screen, he's also a piece of shit. Hey, I'm speaking truth. You're a piece of shit because you want to run your shitty universe with your shitty deity, and I'm questioning your shitty deity for being a piece of shit. Hey, you know what? Well, smite you. Fuck yeah. Okay, cool. You told me you told me that this is a hypocritical piece of shit, and I'm out. And I can do something better with my time, and I can leave because the moment I get to see, it's like when you start bringing in that kind of shit, you bring in philosophy and you get debates, which means the more you bring gods into shit, you gotta kind of fucking know your shit. You can't just simply go, blah, fucking useless statement, and don't question it because we all live underneath the idea that we've lived under the fear and terror of the Abrahamic religion churches. If you dare question what the priest, what the father, what the rabbi, and what the whatever the Muslim equivalent is, I'm too tired to think about the exact term for it. Whatever, if they question it, you can't fucking question it because they have the one book. Fuck you. Everything else comes from the book, and if you question it, you're fucking wrong. But we're not playing that in fantasy. We literally can see it happening. Archons can literally show up and do shit. The avatar could show up in front of you like it was a Greek myth, slap you for being a dick for killing some cows, fuck your wife, and then leave. And you're like, why? And you can just go, I'm a fucking asshole god. That's what I fucking do. And you're like, okay, cool. And that's different from trying to force your monotheistic and Judeo-Christian fucking Abrahamic God mentality of I'm always right, fuck you, into a setting that doesn't work that way. And it causes problems. But once again, nobody, and you always are playing in a setting that's like, my world's been around for 25,000 years. And nobody's ever asked a question. Nobody's ever tested what the limitations of a spell can be. How do we know that the spell block does this? Could I push it here? Can I try to modify to improve? Well, you can up, it's like the age of reason never happens when you play fantasy. Nobody ever asks anything. Nobody ever questions. Nobody experiments until a player character comes along, and then the player character starts to experiment with the rules, try to experiment with the edges of magic, and try to establish what its laws are, what it can be used for, what applications can be done, how can you change and modify spells. Suddenly you get a GM who gets, oh no, the game is starting to rapidly become out of control. I cannot control this. This is no longer fun for me because I need to have set spell functions, or the fruits only do the one thing. You have to breathe a certain way to be able to do the certain kind of power. And well, is there anything else I can do with it? Not unless I tell you to do it, because I'm running into this problem in a different game, in a different conversation, where I'm coming into this going, "Hey, I kind of want to go with a Bruce Lee water style martial arts thing, and kind of go with this flexible." No, just play the class, play the monk the way the monk is written, and then do all your funky shit by just doing stunning fist. And I'm like, why? I can do so much more by being more creative. Well, that's outside the rules. You can't do that. That's like, you need to wait for certain levels and class functions and other things. And I'm like, this is why I hate playing D&D. Why I hate playing with the level-based system. Why I would prefer to play Exalted, or I would prefer to play Mage of the Ascension, or I would prefer to play Legend of the Five Rings, or Seventh Seas, or so many other RPGs that give more flexibility and don't just simply depend on, are you a level 4 caster? Because when do you get told that you're a level 4 caster? You're just magically walking down the street, you kick a dog, and wow, I got enough XP. Bing! I suddenly feel like I can now understand how to read chapter 4 in my spell book. I suddenly feel better. And it never sat with me well, because most of the magic just feels like trash, and it just doesn't feel good. But then again, this is my point. This is my point of view, and at least in 3 other places, I'm fully invested in the level-based role-playing system, and I'm able to enjoy. Well, I'm not going to say I enjoy it. Boy, do I spend hours railing against the system at every opportunity, because I practice what I preach. I question everything, and then I make the GM regret their lives, because I'm asking, where's the edge of the map? Where can I push this to go somewhere else? And I'm making art like I know it's not, I'm not meaning to be combative, but it's the fact that, like, what if I want to use a rope dart, or what if I want to use a weighted chain as a rope to swing around and get more momentum to hit people? What if I want to do this? What if I want to try this? What if I want to, can I do this other thing? And I know a lot of these are the outlier comments, and I got told that by at least two different GMs of, why must you be the troublemaker? Why must you just ask all the questions? I'm like, because I want to do something. Because I can easily turn my brain off. If you want me to turn my brain off and just come into your game and play the most boring character humanly possible, the most efficient murder drone. Like, I was built to do maximum damage. I will be the most efficient maximum damage person, and I won't give a shit, because I just had a massive fight. Well, not really a fight, but multiple day conversation over the fact that they are firm believers in the traditional way of playing Dungeons and Dragons that's been at least currently dominating for at least 2 decades now, with the idea that the best defense is damage mitigation, and the only way you can do damage mitigation is to do maximum to inflict damage faster than the other person. Because if they're dead, they can't hurt you, and then if they can't hurt you, it doesn't matter what your AC or what your healing is, because that can be all done outside combat. I hate that mentality. And when I explained that my entire mentality was the idea that if I can soak 80% of the damage, and my healer can heal 80% of the damage that's inflicted, it leads to, well, now the range in combat opens up, and now damage can actually be lower because so not everyone has to be maximum offense, giant numbers, big crits. You can actually suddenly shrink the damage being inflicted. Now the spellcasters don't need to have giant room nuker spells all the time and do. They don't need to have maximized empowered spells. They can get by with smaller effects because now you can go, well, the combat's now built around the idea that every two to three rounds somebody does an interrupt and it buys time for the healer to catch up on damage. So now your cleric doesn't have to be, because we were having this conversation over. I play a lot of clerics, and I really hate I hate the cleric. I hate Codzilla. I hate cleric or druidzilla. The idea that, well, you're playing a divine caster, you can just buff yourself up into massive damage, and now you just wade in and you hit harder than everybody else, and you can make everyone hit harder, so combat ends faster. Well, at that point, we run into the problem of, well, what's the only way you can make a challenge is to up the hit points, up the damage. And when I explained that the GM's arm race to this person who obviously never has done it, when I'm sitting here going, if I have an AC low enough that I am hit 50% of the time, and every hit hits for half or more of my entire hit point total with every hit, I have 2 rounds to dead. So I need to either be more hit points, more AC, or have a high defense, or never be in combat. Well, the thing is that, and they were like, no, that's not how things work. I'm like, no, it is how it works. It is like, because all of this revolves around the idea that the more, like, because magic is part of combat, magic is also versatility, magic is usefulness, and since we don't ever seem to give anyone who's not combat, who's not a spellcaster, any form of versatility or usefulness, that's another conversation for another time. And if the more versatile you need to make magic not also be the auto win button for all combat. So you need to figure out how to lower damages, so that way, because I know what I'm aiming towards here is that, so we run into this weird kind of race up and up. So we want to make combat feel scary. So we want to have people hit a lot. Well, the thing is that if you have a high AC, you need to have an even higher attack value. And so the attack value hits, you need to be able to do enough damage to hit. Well, the thing is that as combat scales to the guy who's the main person, the main fighter, the main defense character, if they drop, suddenly everybody else dies very rapidly afterwards, because you had to be able to chunk through 180 points of damage, in 3, to make a fight scary. Because if you know that if the party goes all out and alpha strikes hard, the combat's going to end in 3 rounds. So you need to be able to be a threat in 3 rounds. So you need to be able to knock through 180 points in 3 rounds. Because you knew the cleric isn't healing, so the cleric isn't doing anything useful. They're just damage dealing too. Well, now the party can chunk out 140 hit points a turn. So you want to be able to survive three rounds. Suddenly you've got monsters that have 360 hit points, because you don't want to have the players go, well, shoot, I'm not hitting, I'm not hurting, because we don't offer enough secondary ways to hinder somebody to try to slow down the damage, slow down the attacks, slow down and make things more dynamic, because that slows down combat. And combat is already slow. So we're in this weird catch-22 thing where it all ends up with, and so when I'm explaining this, I actually had, and she literally stopped and was like, what the fuck game are you guys playing? And I'm like, old school D&D. This is old school, and this is late second up through third in Pathfinder. And she's like, oh shit, that's not how, like, that sounds terrible. I go, it is terrible. It's also why everyone keeps trying to fix the game, and the version that you're running is not that good. And she's like, no, it's not. I can see where the problems are. But it's one of those things where it was fun watching her come to the conclusion of, oh God, this game is hard. This game's a mess. And I'm like, it is. It's why I don't play it. It's why I don't run it anymore. Like when I run other games because they're more interesting and more fun. They're not perfect. No game is. But the further away you move from a level-based role-playing game system, the idea that you need to be a level 5 person, and at level 5 you get a certain attack value, certain hit points, certain other things, and then you got to do this continuous game of, well, shit, now I got to figure out how to do better at my defense scores and other things because I'm going to get hit more, and certain people and there's a certain point when you realize that if you're playing anyone but the most heaviest armored character, you need to start, giving up on the idea that you'll ever have a viable AC. So you start watching players when they realize that they've fallen out of the AC race, start just going, I'm just wearing a t-shirt and a t-shirt and sweatpants. But you're a cleric. No, okay, the cleric can wear heavy armor if you buy feet, but like if you aren't the paladin and the fighter, you're just going, okay, I'm just going to wear a t-shirt and underwear because that's all because effectively it's all you like. If they're going to hit me anyway on a 5 or better, what's the point? And you keep working around these numbers, and then so it's one of these things where I keep trying to find ways of going, you need to find a way to make everybody else feel viable. So that way it isn't just simply everyone must wear full plate at all times, everyone, or have a magical way of matching it, or take funky confusing multi-classing so you can get your AC up through some very janky shit, or you got 2 guys wearing all the armor and everybody else wearing bathing suits because that's effectively what they are. And then you all know that the moment the front line drops, everyone else dies because you didn't do enough to provide anybody else a meaningful way of surviving. And there's a certain point where all the defensive fighting, all the finding cover doesn't matter. The first moment Godzilla steps, the Godzilla character, monster that just ate the fighter with a crit, comes walking in and, well, shit, I hope we can knock off 600 hit points in one round because from this point forward, every round someone's dying, and at that point the damage curve drops immensely down to the point where it's going to be the bard crying, playing a lute, going, "Oh, I'm going to die, aren't I?" And you're the last one to die, and they're playing a flute while everyone else dies, and you're just sitting here going, "This is a horrible." It's a horrible way to play, but it's how the system works. It's how the game that we're playing works, and once you start to take apart the pieces, you can start to go, well, how can Magic be more interesting? How can we make and by making Magic more interesting, you can make combat more interesting by addressing the issues of static defenses where one guy who has an AC of 40 isn't a hindrance to everybody else because nobody else can get that high. And it's a whole bunch of just charts and equations. Like, I know I don't have all the solutions because the solutions I came up to only work on my table.
What is the victory condition that you're going for? That's what I could possibly help you with on this.
Okay, the victory condition that I'm heading for, the one that I got to with my tables, was I addressed the problem with in 2 ways. One, I gave I kind of almost took a page from Palladium for part of this. The idea of you have a fixed defense armor that no matter what, here's your fixed defense score. Congratulations. And if your attack roll can't beat that, it's just going to hit the armor and do fucking nothing. But past that, I offered the options to. I got rid of the class based attack score. Your base attack score. I went with and made gave everyone two extra skill points and made attack and defense an actual skill. Where it's just simply you roll an attack, they roll a defense. Like the defender rolls a defense score. That's now their AC. That's now their active defense AC score. That worked at my table for about 12 years until the last people who were of that group left, and I only got people who only knew the main rule book. So we went back to the traditional AC. Now, what that allowed me to do was change some feats around, change around some a few skills. Right? So therefore, if you don't want to put points in your defense or you don't want to put points in offense, you got the ability to. And I did break up, and eventually I learned that you needed to break this up some, so that way it had more flavor because my players wanted that. So it started to evolve in a direction that started to resemble a storyteller engine in D20. In a D20 base.
You're saying your game was more like White Wolf or Wizard or Werewolf the Masquerade.
Yeah, and so we ended up realizing that we had three attack scores: a ranged attack, a melee attack, and a brawling score. Okay, for attacks, and for defenses you had dodge, and you had dodge and parry. Dodges were always and the dodge and parry score. The parry was also your block, your block and dodge, and so ranged was dodge and block and parry was for melee. Okay, so and since I eventually upped it to three extra skill points for every class, and that's so you couldn't be a master at everything. So if you wanted to be good at defense, you had one good attack, unless you wanted to take away from your other skill points. But I also had players that go, well, no, I don't plan on being in melee, and so I'm just going to use that extra skill point to buy another skill. And I go, that's a choice. You're making an obvious. I'm giving you the options to be good, and this allowed me to slowly transition away from the Palladium fixed AC score to actually integrate the armor. Armor was a gives you a DR, which that turned out to be a better, when you started to combine blocking a block parry and then soak, suddenly, we're still playing D20, and now DR was in there. This allowed me to evolve the game in a direction that allowed me to introduce armors can now start getting better materials, or certain designs were better for certain kinds of conditions. Layering armor started coming into it. I had rules for suddenly because armors now had a damage reduction value. You now had people looking for, well, shoot, now I want to be able to punch through the 5-10 points of DR that they've got. So suddenly Warhammer started coming, like the idea of the pick came back. Players started picking picks up because they ignore, punching through armor became something important. Suddenly armor piercing arrows, like I'm trading from a D8 to a D6 damage, but I'm punching through 5 points of armor. of damage reduction with every shot. Suddenly, players were like going, "Okay, I can take a feat that allows me to ignore DR with my strikes," and so it created this dynamic. So, and now that freed me up with the ability to bring new special materials into the idea that, well, no, steel actually has a better value, or certain styles, and it allowed me to evolve combat in a way that suddenly players could like work out new styles to like increase DR. DR if they like, I can't block this, so I'm going to know how to lessen the blow to be able to take, so I can soak more damage. And it made combat more dynamic and more interesting. And for a good like 12 years, this was the game I was running. And it was a fun way of playing. And but I lost all of those players, and suddenly players weren't willing to learn the new house rules, so I had to revert back to rules as written, base way of playing. I feel that this was an inferior way of playing, and short of, if I get a table full of a bunch of storyteller players, a bunch of people who are white wolf bets, I could roll out this system in a heartbeat and go, this is a better combat reworked system. It's a very interesting and fun way of making combat more dynamic, but it also had the effect of, it did slow combat to a degree, but it also made it so that way I didn't need to run mass, I didn't need to run 4 combats in a day. I didn't need to run a mass, you versus the horde. I could suddenly start tailoring my foes to my players a bit more detailedly, and it fit the way that I ran, which was definitely the. I know when we were doing table breakers, and I know when I've had on here, the mentality that everyone's a player character, everyone's built on player. The stat plots may be different, the classes may be different, but everyone's a person, everyone's a character. And this way that I ran facilitated this, because of the fact that like having a defense score or defense ability, a defense skill, gave me the flexibility to push things in different directions, because this also had the knock-on effect of being able to put in new fighting styles, new martial arts styles. People could like skill focus and specialize in different tricks. Players were actually like using this to do the storyteller tricks of, I'm pulling new things into it. And the end result came to, for my table, it was a much different game towards the end of my era with those players. And I feel bad, but I don't. But it was a great time. But boy, some of the things that we did are not I could not recreate any of those characters in at anyone else's table, because, well, here's a fundamental change to everything. Here's how guns change. Here's how swords change. Here's how every aspect of combat changes. Here's how spells change. And suddenly you realize that the only thing that is holding the whole thing together is the D20. It's the only thing that draws it back to its original. Like, here's a level, here's a level, here's skill points, here's feats, and here's this. And so it became this very, by changing one thing, it radiates out to cover a lot of things. And it changed, it just changed on so many levels. And it's why it's so hard for me when I'm playing or trying to play close to the core book, because I know how I addressed the problem, and I know the solution I got I know that with people, because nobody plays storyteller games anymore, and the new generation of RPGs are so fucking weird that they're not for me. And I'll admit that they're not for me. And because much like how a bunch of the old farts were all angry about how gaming was so stupid under Storyteller. Well, now I'm the old fuck clinging to a 30-year-old system, and then gluing that 30-year-old system to a 25-year-old system, and coming out with a mutation and going. Now I understand. You know, I I don't want I don't bash the OSR people because they've they're doing they're doing in a way kind of what I'm doing. They're fixing what they liked. I don't like. I kind of like Pathfinder, but if I have to run Pathfinder and I run, the thing is that the Pathfinder I'm running and aiming for is a Pathfinder that mixes Legend of the Five Rings, Exalted, and Mage the Ascension into this, and going, yeah, no, combat is just no. Everyone could potentially be a good fighter. Everyone could be every class can be a good fighter. Every class can be a good defender. And if you don't want to die in combat, you should know what the fuck you're doing and play to your strengths. And that's not an easy sell to people who kind of want to have set roles. And a lot of the pushback I've gotten from a lot of people is that, well, what makes my character special? What makes my class and character special if everybody else gets to also have a good attack value? And I'm like, well, that's the important. Like now we're at an important question. What?
So, how will you amend your game? Is this on?
Yeah, Kai's the one who's paused.
Yeah. Khy looks like either he's asleep or he's frozen, both of which could be correct. You have the clunkiness of the system. I just want to know how you're going to achieve a happy game that makes you as a game judge. How are you going to play and make it to where it's something that engages you as a GM, and how are you going to put it on the players to where they are feeling like they are challenged at the table? Because a lot of us, the system's really the system's not a make or break thing, but it can be rather boring or lackluster or uninspired. I don't know how really to say it politely here, but it can be a dullard of a thing. It's not the main reason why you're together that day, but it is one of the main things. Like the system, how are you going to make it to where you and the players can enjoy each other amidst the fact that you've got this system that you guys didn't really have a whole lot of input in, but here you are supposed to use it.
As I've said before, I've said this many times. Most of my experiences with mini campaigns, I've got a few basic house rules, but those were from previous GMs. So for me personally, I still have to find my basis as to what I would change for certain systems. But that is
Okay.
part of the reason why I'm also making my own systems, because I love Palladium. Palladium has a very similar problem to One Piece, which is, Luffy just got hit by the equivalent of a nuclear bomb through the club of a superhuman. Oh, the Glitter Boy pilot was literally hit by a nuclear bomb. Same effect in both cases.
Ah, shit! I don't think I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Unfair.
Okay, so my video's out. So awesome. Sorry about that. Computer crashed. So
It's all right. We watched it. You overloaded the computer. You gave it too much to think about, and it spun up on us.
that honestly, that feels true. But Sorry, I spoke for so long on that. So
It's fine. I personally still need to speak up a little bit more when I'm online.
Hold space to slow down.
yeah, no, it's my
It's
yep.
like something I'd see on Janet's character. She's got like 2 or 3 NASA shirts or crewments. It's kind of funny.
I love it. It's one of my it's one of my favorite ones of that of that style of yeah. But yeah, but no, I am sorry. I just ended up speaking just forever there. And I know I moved away way far away from the original topic that you were asking about.
Hey, a couple weeks ago, Jan and I were talking about. I think it was like the second. We were talking about the fact that um, I think it was last month, maybe a month before that, something like that, was Men's Mental Health Month, and during at least half the show is of us just going off topic.
That's normal.
Incredibly serious topic. At least half the show had nothing to do with it.
That's normal. And brutal honesty, that's normal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I recognize that no matter what I'm doing, if I have more than one player at my table or more than one panelist, we're going to get into the weeds. And then all of a sudden, like, where are we at? Well, here's the map of what I wanted to talk about, but here we are over here in Nebraska.
And the and kind of the part there just kind of because uh it's really hard to address one part of a much bigger puzzle and a much bigger problem. And if you it's really like because it really is all it is all connected in a way that just makes it just difficult to talk without just wandering way too hard over everything. And I tried to I know yeah, no, I really don't have I'm just all over the place on this.
It's hard
Well,
to maintain focus when you're trying to fix the problems at the table. And worse yet, when you fix one problem, you got like 2 others that just really they just became readily available. Why are these problems making themselves known right now? Well, they obviously need fixing.
Yeah, and very and I think that's the reason why most of us at our hearts go out there and build our own this is we all build our own games because we come to those new conclusions that are just like this is how I would solve it. And when I come to here, I'm like, all right, this is how I solved it. But I know that say I was to run for like this wouldn't be too hard to run with like Bruce. Like I could probably run this with what I went over with you with no problem. But I know that if I wanted to run the system with say um, uh, a few of our other former compatriots, it wouldn't go over as well.
Yeah.
It would be fought at every turn, and to the point where it wouldn't be worth it because the conclusions I went to are not the conclusions they would go for. And then they would be really hard pressed to be like, no, this is how I want this to be. And it would just devolve in a way that wouldn't be productive or fun. And I know with certain people that we've that I've been co-hosts with or had as guests, or been in our own chats, this would be a problem. It would be a problem, and I hate to say it that way, but it's why I made the comment of my solutions only worked for me, and because I know when I've gone on to say uh, Facebook or onto forums or into other more general spheres where, hey, this is my solution and this is what I came to, and you get yelled down about it because like it trashes what people get defensive because you're attacking what they liked or the thing that they're mastery of. Um, my because proposing a few fixes to say BattleTech got me yelled at. I saying how I was fixing Pathfinder got some Pathfinder people really ticked off because, well, I was trying to fix Dungeons and Dragons. Well, how dare I? Or my conclusions went wrong. Now, I've had also really good, interesting conversations with people who were definitely better. I knew more of the in-depth mechanics, and and they defended their position really, really well. And I'm like, I'm not going to agree with you, but I could see where you're now coming from. My problem always comes with when I put mine out, I've put thought into why I've done this, or this is the change in my move is this is what made things seem smarter, seem better. This is my experience, and then having it shot down without anyone agreeing. Now, the person who I was talking to, who was really in depth and knew what they were talking about as well, they also have some major league problems with the system, but they also came to the realization that that they've been playing since the early '80s. They've accepted the system being flawed. I never accepted the system being flawed. So I know when early on we had the conversation of the how some people say the system is broken and we need to, the system is flawed, we need to fix it, and then there's some people who goes, no, the system is working as intended, we need to destroy it. And I'm kind of in that. He took the idea of it's like he went with the idea that no, this is how it's supposed to be. Play the game because it's an actual game. And I'm like, I want a better game. And it was when the competition ended, it was a mutual respect of he accepts the flaws, but was willing to continue to play by the rules because those are the rules, and they've been the rules for an eternity. Just because he took the idea that of treating D&D the same way that you would treat baseball. You don't constantly rewrite the rules to baseball. So, but he also looked at my point of view of wanting a more dynamic game that was more exciting and more interesting, that was more focused on the role-playing side. And he was like, you're treating it as you're wanting more theater, you're wanting more of the more role-playing aspects. And he understood that's what I wanted, but that's not the game that he was playing. So it came to where he wants to play, here's the challenge, beat the challenge, here's the game. The game is a more complex board game, play it like that. Your actions do matter, you do have to role play, you do need to do other things, but when the challenge is set ahead of time. You build the encounter, you fight the encounter, you play it as though it's a board game. And I was going, and so we came across, he ended up liking my approaches to being more storyteller, but that also means that it's less game, more collaborative writing. And I went, I love your board game works fantastic, and like if I want to play a board game that's very mechanical, fuck yeah, his table would be would be perfect for me. If I was in the mood to play a board game, I'm almost never in the mood to play a board game. I'm in for I want 100 solutions. He wants one like 5 solutions that can get you to a problem. I want infinite solutions that get me to 100 different problems and 100 different solutions. And so it's just we approached it from a different point of view, and I appreciate that kind of a conversation much more than I need to jump off a bridge for even daring to be different or wanting things a little and wanting the game to be different. Now, the end result of my entire experimenting came to sure. Now now all of my work and all of my experimentation came to I can now run armored combat in D&D, and not like, oh hey, I'm a knight on a horse. No, I mean that is an M1 Abrams and it's firing at a T80, and I can run this now in D&D combat, and it'll be a fun, fair encounter. Well, no, it's not going to be a fair encounter because there's still 2 main battle tanks slapping each other senseless while artillery is flying. But I'm not scared to run that. I'm not scared to have a dragon having a dogfight with a Mustang. I can have that combat now because I put the work in, and now it doesn't terrify me. I can treat automail like cybernetics. I can put artificial limbs, but because I put that work in, now I don't fear chopping off people's limbs because I've got solutions to the problem that don't revolve around regenerate and wish. Sure, I might have somebody in a wheelchair for a little bit while they're waiting for a new limb to get assembled, but I can now cripple players and have ways to make combat more interesting than just simply here's your hit points, take a nap, back to full. Because that's what modern. Sorry. Let's go through the versions.
Majority of D&D is like, okay, you got in a fight, now you get your curing, now you take a nap, and now you leveled up.
And you went from 5 hit points to maximum hit points. Or if you're in an older edition, you took a nap and now you're level times and max hit points for a level plus con closer to being healed. Okay, so I wait 5 days and I'm back to full health. Yes, I was shot in the face with a shotgun, and I took a week off, and I'm back to full. Yes, okay. But now I can. But now because I put more work into combat and damage, well, I can blow an arm off, or I can have a crippling injury, because there's multiple ways of solving it without just restoring, without going regenerate, restoration, wish. I mean, those were the only solutions you ever had, was either miracle, wish, limited wish, lesser miracle, regenerate. And those are your crippling spell injuries. So until your 11th level or 13th level, you kind of have the, oh shit, my arm can come off, and it stays off. But past that, you're just like, oh, my arm fell off. Okay. Just put it back on and cast the spell. Now I'm back. And that's lame. Because I've always liked the characters who have... I kind of want the... I kind of want, Lieutenant Razak from Starship Troopers, with the mechanical arm. I love that kind of shit. I want somebody with cybernetics. I want somebody who is like the Elric brothers. Hell, if we go back to, say, Dragonlance, I want the platinum arm. Fuck yeah. Give me that. Give me the mithril. Sorry, not Platinum. Give me the mithril arm. I want that. I want that badass. That badass item. Well, you gotta have an arm cut off, and fuck it, do it. And we had so many swords of sharpnesses, and I had players who were, making called shot eyes and other fun things. Like I want to have crit effects being like wounding damage. Like I when I did this change, I was able to go crits no longer do crits. Crits cause an effect. Suddenly, like I was able to bring injuries into it, and people were like, "Oh, this okay." Combat became different, fun, exciting. Well, it became scary, and it wasn't just simply an HP race. And yeah, fights look different, but all of these questions kind of go backwards to they're all interlinked, and I know that if I ran this would not make certain people unhappy, and I know that I was unhappy with certain changes that certain people made with certain games, and I know that I had a bad reaction. I know other people have bad reactions, and in the end, that's why I don't really I shoot ideas out, but I know that nobody's required to listen to me because the solution, because let's be honest, Bruce, you got you saw the same problems that I saw. You went with your direction. I enjoy watching your D100 game because I'm seeing your solutions to the problems that you saw, and they generate interesting. Would I have gone your way? No, but I like your solutions. So I'm sitting and I like sitting and watching what happens in your D100 game. I'm sorry there was no game today, but people had internet problems.
Yeah,
and
it happens.
It happens, but I like sitting through and listen and watching your solutions on how you're adapting things, because they're not how I would have gone with it. But then again, I didn't think about that. So it's a chance to listen to other people talk and work through their solutions. I wish I could have recorded everything that I came up with, because my solutions were mine. And I like, it's weird saying that, but in the end, I kind of just I know I should probably write everything down and write my game, and make a game out of it. But honestly, there's so many D&D games out there now, and so many fantasy RPGs, and there is a general move away from traditional traditional fantasy game system that I don't feel like there's room for me to just throw my hat into the ring, to be brutally honest.
Well, I was thinking about actually, instead of the static armor class or armor rating that you guys are used to, whenever you're attacking somebody, there's always a resistance roll. Instead of that being just a number that it's always there and it never changes.
Yeah.
I think I like it better. Say someone's attacking, I'll just pull a number out of my head. Someone's attacking Ogre. And Ogre's got a armor rating of 45.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's not trying to defend. He's trying for offense, so he's not even trying to defend. So the only thing that's going on is his armor gets a resistance chance. So I'm going to roll 45 plus this, and I rolled a 4. So if somebody rolls better than a 49 on their attack, they hit. But say that he learns that after a couple of hits, he can't get hit anymore. He's trying to defend with a fucking great axe or war axe. But he's got a parry. He gets a parry on every series of attacks he gets, or during his time where he's winding up for an attack, he's also got the ability to parry, but at a -20. So because it's not meant to parry, it's a fucking axe. That's why.
Yeah.
His axe, he's got a plus. I think it's. Hold on, let me pull this up. Got a sheet right here. I might not think of this. It's another die roll, but the DM needs to roll the armor save on every attack, not the player. For Ogre, he gets a plus. If he's raging, there's no parry. But if he's just doing his regular attacks, he gets a plus 55 plus a die roll. So somebody else, 85 plus 82. No, not 85. 65 plus 82. That's 147. They got to beat 147 because he's going to have a chance to block that. And then you got Isabeau. That not only does she get a parry, but she also gets a block because she's got her weapon and her shield and her two-handed fighting. She knows how to use. She's got a shield proficiency. She can use a shield to not only do that to block a shot, but also, if she so chooses, she can start learning how to do a shield bash and an attack in the same routine if she chooses for Isbu to do that.
Okay.
That's one of her options. But I'm really starting to like this more and more because I've had way too much time to think about this shit. And as much as I do value simplicity and elegance and all that, I also like the fact my players are paying attention, I'm paying attention, everybody's keeping together in the story. Y'all know what's going on. I love that. I fucking love that. I want the players to be engaged.
They should be.
Maybe I'm asking for too much. Mongoose is over there passed out from an Arby's. That's awesome.
No, but I'm. The thing is that you kind of reward your players by respecting them enough by thinking that they're smart enough to be able to follow along, which they are, and it keeps them focused and invested, like just to keep them. I think we don't give our players nearly enough credit, so I think that it wouldn't be bad, and it would probably go over well with the right players. And I think you might have the right players. So
yeah, I am looking to get one or two more because I want 6. 6 is a good mixture for me. You get a good variance of skills and personalities. I do want more people that are familiar with the concepts of the game, but I don't need people like Jade who are fucking system mastery consultants for Pathfinder and 3.5. I'd prefer more to have people like Janet who don't have any background in game but just know what a fun narrative is.
Yeah. Jade's a great person to have at your
yes.
Now, one of the people who I had that conversation with about healing and defense and all that, they're a person who I'm sure if I was to put them in the same room with Jade, they'd have a conversation and they would have a great one. But but her focus is mostly in fifth ed, and so her detailing and I think those two would like respect each other's knowledge base. So and but I also accept that that's so for me trying to go out of my way to try to debate with her over defense, that's good. That's just me trying to beat somebody who no, the rules are exclusively this. This is how I think everything's I should be, and me trying to go and trying to provide options, alternatives doesn't go over always well perfectly. So
No.
but like I said, some people just they know how the system works, and to attack the system kind of brings you're not really attacking the system, but now you're going against the things that are the foundations to their ideals, like what they understand, and it doesn't always go over well.
Like, I know it sounds weird where the DM has to roll an attack for the NPC and a defense roll for the armor for every attack, but I think that's a valuable. That really is a valuable thing because one, I mean, I'm asking a lot of other DMs to get used to the system where it's DM facing. Majority of stuff in the system is things that DMs already think about all the time, but now I'm just trying to make it enabled to where like they just do it automatically, and there may be entire minutes that go by during combat where the DM is just talking to himself like, damn, this guy really sucks at attacking, and the player's like, what's going on? Why are you rolling like 5 sets of dice over there? Oh, don't worry about me.
Don't worry about
it. He's attacking you, but he's really bad at attacking you.
Yeah. And that's also just that's just part of it. I really hate to say it, that's just unfortunately part of the game. And when we have to run both the NPCs and the rather than just being you run every side of a combat at a certain point.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not pretty, but it's what you do. So and sometimes players realize that, well, you got occasionally when we have our NPCs that are on our side, and the computer and the GM also has to run the other guy's side. Well, it gets kind of messy. So, but that's not too much of a problem. And really, as we play and ask our players to do stuff, well, it eventually becomes second nature. I know when I like to talk about how much I love Legend of the Five Rings, its combat is not hard, but it's not easy. It's
No.
not. It can be really deadly. It's got some really intricate things that can happen, especially once players have to bring like defensive skills into it, or having to like add up, do the math and work out raises and stuff. It can get kind of messy, especially when you start to bring in school abilities into it. But as you play it, it gets familiar, and eventually what was complex becomes second nature, and soon everyone knows what to do fast without having to walk them through it. I mean, we saw this a lot, back when we were all learning third edition, we saw that a lot. It's like it was slow, but eventually it became quick. It's or you could at least walk somebody through it fast. I know I've got problems, so therefore I write down a terrifying matrix of okay, these are the modifiers and base damages, and then it would be this giant chart I would write on the back of my character sheets. It's like, all right, this is the maneuver, this is the attack, this is the values I'm going to be, this is how it modifies, rather than having to sit there and ask the GM, hey, can you do this? Because I needed a cheat sheet to make things go faster. In BattleTech is combat math personified. And that is math. That is Math Hammer, the board game. But the thing is that eventually we all ended up buying we have cheat sheets now. We have charts printed on our character. The hit tables are now on our record sheets. We've got dice that help speed up. Multicolored dice, so we know that okay, this one jumped, this one ran, this one walked, and here's its defense modifier. So that way we can just look out, see color of die, see number, and know what the penalty it speeds the game up, and suddenly the game goes quick. Sure, there's some things that need to get sped up or figured out, work out, and we all figure it out. And I know with the Warhammer crew, they figure that everyone produces the cheat sheets they need to speed the game up. And as you get yours more ironed out, encourage the players to create those cheat sheets, those reference documents, the cards, they're like spells that they've got memorized, or the fast and easy to sort through just reference documents. So that way it speeds it up. So that way the game goes quick. I know it's that's kind of the reason why when I over this entire hour and a half conversation of me talking about all the changes I did to D&D and to Pathfinder, I had to just put it all away, was because bringing new people in, onboarding new people, meant having to not just reteach a system, but teach a system that there's no documentation for. And that's on me for not documenting all my changes, because I was constantly editing, constantly correcting. I did, if I was smart, if I could go back and beat 22-year-old me upside the head and say, start writing everything you change down now, because when you're 48, in 26 years from now, when you are 48, you could publish a game right now, but you didn't write shit down then. And I know that it would take too much work to write everything down now, and thus onboarding new people who, especially now that everyone's only plays games like Fifth Ed or Shadowheart, which is a much more very flexible, more storyteller focused, even more story focused, or they're playing games that are very, very nebulous. Trying to onboard someone and goes, hey, this is kind of like World of Warcraft, but not like World of Warcraft. This is kind of like Call of Duty, but not. It's got this. It's like D&D, but in every way not. And well, what is still there? Shit. And I'm glad that you've got a systems document that you're actually working from. That makes things so much easier to onboard new people.
Funny.
Oh,
David, you have any additions here, sir?
I think we lost him.
It might be. We might
But
have.
I think that's a good indicator for it's time to wrap it up because it's about 12:30 and I do have a flea market in the morning.
Yeah. Me and Janet are doing the gauntlet tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What you want?
Clint Eastwood, Sandra Locke, the gauntlet,
Okay.
1977.
All right. I thought it was going to be like a gauntlet, like multiple movies in a row. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Not, not quite, sadly, but we're going to be doing that, and we're getting into the point of Clint's movie era, where he goes from a kind of like a young buck to kind of like he was doing some middle age stuff, where he does like uh, Tightrope, and then Firefox first, then Tightrope, and then there's a few others that are kind of note where he gets in the middle age Clint Eastwood that are really good. There's like that breaking point is between Firefox and Pale Rider, where that split happens. You know, he's no longer doing the young guy stuff. He's doing more thinking man's roles, and it's fun to watch because young Clint had a lot of drama behind the camera, a lot of drama, but around 77, 78, he brings Sandra Locke into his life, and she becomes a parasite that won't leave, and she kind of balances him out a little bit. About the mid 80s is where they kind of have their worst part, and I think he stops bringing her into movies. But she does like 6 roles with him throughout his time, and he manages to keep it together after that. And we're just now hitting this point in his life where we see a more steady, emotionally balanced version of Clint because he's got someone steady in his life. And for the first few years, it must be pretty good because he didn't really kick her out. But after like 6 or 7 movies, you don't see her anymore. And then they split up later on. She just died of breast cancer in the early 2000s. And it's kind of sad, but she never really got onto things her own. She mainly just is notable for hitching herself to various people throughout her life, and that's what she did. And I hate to say that so flippantly and so crassly, but that's kind of what she does. Okay. Thank you, one and all, for being here with us tonight with me, Khy, and Dave. We will be back in 2 weeks to discuss more stuff, and I'll be slopping paint on more things. I finally got finally got my bookcase done. Yay!
Nice.
Yeah. So the players have another thing to avoid in combat. Anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks to discuss this. Next week is the Pathfinder game. Nope. Cancel that. Next week is not the Pathfinder game. Chris is going up to South Dakota, and I really don't want to run a game. I've got 5 players in that game, 6 players. I don't want to run a game without 4 of them that are in what I consider my core. Granted, I like Corbin and Hannah. They've been kind of flippant. You know, they waffle in, they waffle out. And I don't want them to be focused on as like the main players. I want Chris to be there because he's been part of this since the Stoic beginning. And
Right.
whenever him and I met up as friends, like I realized, like, okay, well, I guess this guy's in it for the long haul. And even though him and I disagree on like the viability of Pathfinder, because he thinks like there's some things that are just absolutely fine, and you just have to deal with it. I don't like the attitude that Pathfinder Paizo has had in latter books, where it feels like the DM is only there to roll dice for the bad guys. The players tell the story. Get out of the way, DM. You know, that sort of thing. I don't like that at all.
Right.
And it to be a narrative between both Watsy and Paizo, where they're trying to make the players tell their own story instead of the world around you is why you're here. You're not here because like you want to discover yourself. No, you're here because you're broken poor and you want to not be broken poor and hungry. So we'll see what happens. The next game we have is in 2 weeks. It'll be this D100 game system. Khy, thank you for being with me tonight. And David, you as well. You gentlemen have a great evening. And for those of you that stuck with us, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.